What's up, everybody? My name is Godzi, and welcome back to another episode of Umineko When They Cry Answers Arc. Last episode, we finished Clair's book, presumably, as Yasu, or Beatrice, solved the epitaph and became formally recognized as Beatrice by Kinzo, and then Kinzo died. That was lovely, wasn't it? Anyways, regarding comments last episode, since I've kind of been on a roll with going for like 10 to 20 minutes just reading the comments, not much of them are actually worth discussing this time. A lot of them are just sort of like being philosophical about how unfortunate of a character Yasu is, which is definitely worth mentioning. Not a lot to actually say about that, though, because it's just like, I'm basically convinced Yasu is a guy at this point. If you're just tuning in, hello, I'm Godzi, nice to meet you. Which is very unfortunate, and especially since Yasu is the son, in that case, of Kinzo and Kuwadori Beatrice. That would make Yasu the uncle of Battler, George, and Jessica. And George is in love with Shannon. Jessica is in love with Cannon. Both of them are Yasu. Beatrice, which is also Yasu, is in love with Battler. And it's just super unfortunate. One comment in particular went into how it's super unlikely, or probably nigh impossible, that there's a happy fragment out there that has Yasu. And how it's kind of ironic. Well, not necessarily ironic, but interesting how the fragment with Leon in it is the happiest one, which I guess would be the case. Also, are you fucking kidding me? It's been 2 minutes. Either way, one comment in particular I got is actually something interesting to discuss that I didn't pick up on last episode, and to be honest, I don't think I would have unless it's actually brought up again at some point in this chapter or in chapter 8. But it said last episode, November 19th was the, not 19th, 29th was the day that Beatrice was reborn, basically. Which is interesting, because of the bank pin. Because Battler, in chapter 3, when they first found the bank pin written on the door, Battler realized, July 15th, that's my birthday. Is there anyone in the family whose birthday is November 29th? Yep. Beatrice. So that's really interesting, and I'm a little, well, I'm not surprised I didn't pick up on that, but I wish I did, because that would have been really cool. But either way, let's get back into this. I'm not sure exactly where it's going to go from now. I guess they're just going to discuss, like, with Leon about just like, so that's what I was like in a different fragment, and then I started killing people. That's weird. But whatever. Let's get it. That is the end of my tale. Oh, is that all? But aren't the next 2 years pretty fun? That's a good point. We don't need them. After all we've heard in the past games about your inner conflict and how you've suffered, you don't need to say anymore. You mean the conflict of the furniture with incomplete souls? There was a duel. The result had almost been decided. However, the year 1986 was incredibly merciless. I'll bet you cursed your fate. Yes. If it had been 1 year sooner, or else 1 year later, the duel would have been settled, though the way it got settled would have been different. Ah. Okay. How would it have been settled a year before? A year later I can understand, but... Silently, Claire hung her head. If only I'd been given time. Or else, if I hadn't been given time to worry. I hate everything. Why did it have to be 1986? So yeah, that again. The crime only happened because Battler came back in 86. I decided to abandon control over everything. Abandon control? Like the ceremony in which I inherited everything from the previous head, I decided to abandon myself to the fate known as a miracle. piano hand's going crazy right now. The fuck are you doing, Kaede? It may be more accurate to say that I abandoned myself to the choice of her roulette. Of the roulette. Ah, the roulette again. We could not even decide our own fate. So we let fate decide everything for us. Perhaps one of us will find what they seek. Or perhaps all will be joined and released. Or perhaps someone will put a stop to this folly. No matter which fate the roulette chose, I plan to obey its ruling. I will not resist fate. After all, whenever I have tried in the past, fate has always been heartless to me. Claire hung her head and let a single tear drop down. Humans will carelessly say that people possess infinite possibilities. However, the Endless Switch knows how limited those possibilities really are. So out of her limited fate, she tried to create the infinite. By entrusting her fate to God, she tried to create the infinite. However, this did not mean that she was resigned to her fate. She spun the roulette of fate with an unshakable and certain will. A certain fate where absolutely no one could escape if the epitaph was not solved. She sealed off the island with it, herself included. October 4th and 5th, 1986, were sealed away by an absolute and certain will. And she abandoned herself to that short span of time and the one fate out of many that would be chosen on that island. And now, my confession is over. Isn't that enough to place my motive for the crime? If you still do not know, I will say no more. It's not as though anyone could understand my heart anyway. Yeah. There's no need to say anymore. Leon, after watching how I have wandered through a dead end of fate, do you see how great a hope you are to me? I'm a different possible you. The happiness you live in makes me jealous, but even more overwhelmed. With happiness. The future you represent was a possible one. Right now, that fact alone is my salvation. Please, live with enough happiness for the both of us. I'm glad I got to meet you once at the end. You have my thanks, Lady Barncastle. I'm just carrying out your funeral. There's no need to thank me. Well, it's about time to end this. It's about time to send the dead to the land of the dead. Yes, this is my funeral after all. It's time for me to go back to where I belong. Don't make that face. And please, rejoice that you were not me. After all, I rejoice in that fact as well. I'll live life for the both of us. Thank you. Live in happiness, and someday find yourself a wonderful person. I pray that you live as a human without awakening as a witch. That you have a whole and single soul, and love one person with all your strength. I hope you live that sort of life. I will. Will, I thank you for being an observer. You aren't the one I truly wanted to understand me, but you have saved my heart. I understand you. I don't neglect the heart. Thank you. So, now that I have a splendid observer who understands me, I want to entrust my final moments to you. Are you sure you're okay with it being me? Yes. For me, the most important thing is whether the person understands me, not how well I know them. The one I wanted to understand didn't. A person I don't know did understand. There's nothing sad about it. On the contrary, I'm grateful for this miracle. A person who is able to understand even though he has no relation to me. You are a good observer, and the only one who has managed to understand me. That connection is strong enough. Understood. I offer my heart to you, nameless and wonderful observer. Leon, stand back. Huh? What's going to happen? In the mystery genre, there can be no death unless the detective performs the last rites. Okay, what are you gonna fucking do, Dante? Will just stopping your heart be enough? When you mourn the dearly departed, do you just put their heart into the coffin? Got it. That which was born from Earth will return to Earth. I'll return all of you to the Earth. Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, illusions to illusions, and dreams to dreams. Wasn't that said right at the very beginning of this chapter? Also, speaking of this chapter, we haven't really had any, like, red versus blue moments this chapter, have we? Like, not even one. I hope that's what the tea parties are, because I've heard the tea parties are really good this time. Alright. Granted, I don't know how much more there even is of this chapter. This seems kind of climactic. Then let us begin. This is my burial. Whenever you're ready. Let us start. This is almost like the end of my last game. Light gathered at Will's back, and a sword materialized there. Fucking... really? Slowly, he drew it out. Its pitch-black tip, which could neatly slice apart truth from fiction, swung once, leaving a black trail, and then again, leaving a white trail. Oh, this song again. So Will actually has a sword. Excuse me, I was joking about you being Dante. I'll cut the truth out from the fiction. Come. So is this actually going to be a battle of red versus blue? You call it a burial and then you give Will a sword? Excuse? Following Will's lead, a similar sword appeared in Claire's hand. Its tip glinted silver, the opposite of Will's. Wow. Are you going through every Twilight? That's gonna take a while, excuse me. First game, first Twilight. 6 corpses in the gardening shed. Oh boy, he's got a sword for real. Illusions to illusions. The corpse that cannot return to Earth returns to illusions. So he's explaining... okay. So Claire's gonna go through all the Twilights, and Will's going to explain them in a relatively vague but specific-ish way. The corpse that cannot return to Earth returns to illusions, which would be Shannon. So that means Shannon's death was... well, Shannon's death was real, but the death of the person who Shannon is a part of is fake. Will's pitch-black slash cut across Claire's body at an angle. The blade passed through her like she was water, but its tip sent golden flower petals scattering. First game, second Twilight. We are going through all of them, Jesus. 2 corpses are close in a closed room protected by a chain. Oh, hello, Mr. CG. Illusions to illusions. A chain of illusions can only trap illusions. That means the chain lock was never set. Which I figured was the case. Kanon and Genji were lying about the chain actually being set. And at that point, Kanon or Genji painted the magic circle. And just lied to the rest of the family about the chain being set. Easy mode. The razor-thin black blur sent golden flower petals scattering again. First game, fourth Twilight. The old head from the closed room study, confined in a scorching furnace. He was there the whole ass time. Illusions to illusions. Let the man of illusions go to where he belongs. So he was in the boiler room the whole ass time. Got it. First game, fifth Twilight. The last moments of the sacrificed boy with a stake in his chest. Illusions to illusions. The witch and stake of illusions can pierce naught but illusions. The witch and stake of illusions can pierce naught but illusions. So that means Kanon wasn't stabbed, but Kanon was killed at that point. Like, his personality was just erased, basically. First game, 6th, 7th, and 8th Twilights. 3 corpses lying in the closed room of the singing girl. This is one that the Red Truce made kind of difficult, I remember, with the 4th game. This was one that I didn't fully understand. That and the chapel in the 2nd game. Illusions to illusions. Illusions are the blind girl's song. Illusion of a closed room. Illusion of a closed room? So the doors weren't locked? Or does that mean Genji killed... Well, Genji, Nanjo, and Kumasawa were the ones who died in there, so they all killed themselves? Is it just like face paint and then they stabbed themselves? But Nanjo and Kumasawa were in the leg and knee. And those aren't exactly fatal. The stomach can be fatal enough in Genji's case. Wait, the blind girl's song? So that means Maria didn't see what was going on. The song wasn't happening? That's a confusing one. The part where I still don't fully get. Well done. Yes, you really are splendid. That was a risky game from the very start. You didn't go into Natsuhi. What if the guy really wanted to see that dead face anyway and just stepped inside? Ah! That's referring to George. So that means George isn't an accomplice. Ooh. That's interesting. That's what it means to abandon oneself to fate. Okay, so that confirms George isn't an accomplice. At least across all 4 games. I was suspecting he might be, but it seems like he's not. At least in the 1st game. That's what your roulette is, isn't it? Let us continue. Alright, here's the other confusing one. I guess Natsuhi's death was obvious enough, like... Yasu and Beatrice were still alive, so... They shot Natsuhi when she went to the parlor. Natsuhi's gun had blanks or wasn't loaded, so therefore it only made 1 sound. Second game, first Twilight. The 6 with their stomachs split in the closed room chapel. That was a tough one. Illusions to illusions. The gold truth locks the lock of illusions. The gold truth, that again. We haven't seen that since the 5th game. So the chapel wasn't locked, is what that means. I mean, granted, who discovered the bodies? Genji, Shannon, Rosa, and Goda? And Kumasawa, right? No, not Kumasawa. Was it Nanjo? In which case, Rosa could have been an accomplice, Goda could have been an accomplice. Or Goda and Rosa... No, Rosa opened the door, didn't she? So she would have had to have been an accomplice. The chapel was never locked? Is that what that means? Alright, this is an easy one. Second game, second Twilight. The 2 who are close cannot even be close as corpses. Illusions to illusions. Illusions who have fulfilled their role do not leave even the corpse behind. So that means canon wasn't real. Or canon isn't a separate person. Second game, 4th, 5th, and 6th Twilights. In Natsuhi's closed room, none are left alive. Earth to Earth. Oh, not illusions. No one would dispute that a coffin is a closed room. A coffin. I see. So it was indeed a closed room. That only means no one outside of the room could have committed that crime. Which means Shannon killed Goda and George, and then herself. I see. Second game, 7th and 8th Twilights. The 2 sliced to death by the red-eyed illusion. Earth to Earth, illusions to illusions. Oh, both? No illusion can create a corpse. That's an interesting way of describing that. No illusion can create a corpse. That just means they were killed... Well, I don't know if that's exactly what that means, but... They were killed before the 4th, 5th, and 6th Twilights. And then they were left out in the garden. Every time the blade passed through Claire's body, golden flower petals flew everywhere. The petals covering her heart were being torn away bit by bit. The illusion of the witch was breaking down and becoming flower petals. They're actually going a bit faster than I thought they would. Well, a bit, rather, way faster. Third game, first Twilight. That's easy enough as well. 6 corpses connected by the linked closed rooms. Shannon and Cannon's deaths were faked. Or rather, the Shannon and Cannon personalities were still killed, but the death of the person, Yasu/Beatrice, was faked. Shannon was in the very first room, Cannon was in the very last. They had plenty of time to travel there while everyone else was checking out, like, Goda, then Kumasawa, Goda, Genji, and Kinzo. Illusions to illusions. In a closed room ring, the end and the beginning overlap. Yes! Third game, second Twilight. That just fucking happened. That was just Eva killing them. The corpses of mother and child lay together in the rose garden. Earth to earth. No falsehoods in their final moments as told. I see. Third game, fourth, fifth, and sixth Twilights. 3 corpses lying in the mansion. Okay, that one's easy too. Eva and Hideyoshi. Well, maybe Hideyoshi. At the very least, Eva killed Rudolph and Kyrie, but Kyrie was shot in the stomach. So in her last moment, she shot Hideyoshi, which explains why it was a different gun that killed Hideyoshi. Earth to earth. No falsehoods in their final moments as told. Well, I guess that does mean there's no tricks, they just died there. Third game, 7th and 8th Twilights. The corpses of husband and wife lay exposed under the arbor. She doesn't seem to go into the 9th Twilight, which is interesting, because, well, at least in the second game, that doesn't really matter. In the first game, it's easy enough to explain, but the third game is the real one, you know? With Nanjo, and even George. Earth to earth, the obvious culprit wields a mutable blade. Yeah. That just means fucking Eva did it. You're skipping the 9th Twilight of the third game. I feel like that's something you should delve into, but alright. Fourth game, first Twilight. A massacring storm sweeps through the dining hall. Illusions to illusions. Tales woven by the gold truth return to illusions. Okay, I'm still not sure what you're referring to by the gold truth, but whatevs. That just means it could have happened whenever, right? Fourth game, second Twilight. The 2 youths face a trial and pass away together. Illusions to illusions. Tales woven by the gold truth return to illusions. Yep, could have happened whenever. Fourth game, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th Twilights. Wait, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th Twilights. None of the runaways are left alive. Earth to earth, illusions to illusions. Silent corpses adorned by fiction. Fourth game, 9th Twilight. You're going into the 9th of the 4th game. That's an easy fucking one. They were fucking... Wait, what happened is George gave the key to Kumasawa and Goda. Kumasawa gave the key back to Beatrice or Yasu, whoever the fuck. They opened the shutter and killed him. And none shall be left alive. Earth to earth, illusions to illusions. When fiction is shut up inside a cat box, it becomes truth. Huh. That's something. You're not going into the 5th game. Or the 9th Twilight of any other game. Granted, doesn't matter with the 2nd. Over and over again, Claire's body was sliced by the pitch black sword. Hello. This is like the first actual animation I think we've seen that's like consistent and not just like a one-off thing. That's hard to describe, but you know what I mean. Huh. As proof, the chapel was now filled with golden flower petals, which danced around like gold snow. It's beautiful. Who wouldn't want their last moments to be like that? The gold snow was like confetti at the finale of a show. The curtains were finally falling on the stage that was her. Then, one final question. Sure. Oh, hello, big CG. Clair slowly raised her hands. The sword she held became golden rose petals and melted away. She stood there, arms wide, waiting for the final strike, but not before removing Willard's face. Where'd it go? Part of me knew she would say that. Who am I? Illusions to illusions. The promised reaper lowers the curtains on the tale regardless of the witch's will. The pitch-black blade that Will swung high cut down Clair's form. That was way faster than I thought it would be. At the same time, she was blown away by a gust of wind. Her human form crumbled in an instant, became a storm of golden flower petals, and was torn apart. After she was blown away, a golden heart remained in midair. But it too was swallowed by the torrent of wind and broke down into flower petals. The gold torrent of wind swirled around the chapel. Then, the swirl of petals scattered out of existence and vanished. A few remaining petals danced around like snowflakes, and those final vestiges decorated the chapel beautifully. Okay. A beam of light lit the center of the stage. There stood Clair, whose tale had ended. Then slowly, softly, she faced the audience and bowed. Applause spread throughout the room. The long tale she had just finished telling was being given a massive applause. It went on and on, and on and on. Or at least just imagine it did, because it stopped. The stage slowly sunk into the darkness of oblivion. Behind the darkness in the curtain, Clair continued to bow in front of the unending applause, and disappeared. People are born with sin and live life to obtain forgiveness from someone. Or perhaps they are born with riddles and live life searching for someone to solve them. Here, all of her riddles had been solved, leaving no lingering regrets behind. People are riddles. They want someone else to solve their riddle. They live life wanting someone to solve the riddle that they are, the most difficult riddle in the world. They want someone to look at the riddle they are, and they want that person to solve it. For her, that wish has been granted. Her soul will wander no longer. Sleep in endless peace in your catbox coffin. Though there had been so many golden flower petals flitting about like a blizzard, not a single one remained. Everything had become dust, vanishing as though there had been nothing there in the first place, and all was silent once more. Come to think of it, even the sound of rain is gone. The rain must have stopped at some point. Meeting you was her salvation. I hope so. She cursed herself and her inescapable dead-end fate, and gave up. Meeting you, a happy miracle in her eyes, saved her in a way nothing else could. So don't make that face. That was a pretty tasteful ending. For you.
Well, only told me to carry out the funeral. Well, I pretty much just called a facilitator, you, and let you do everything.
I guess that's something about Burn. She's cruel, but she's also somewhat lazy, it seems. Go figure. She always gets someone else to do her work for her, it seems. Like, even in the 5th and 6th games with Erica, she just kind of didn't do anything and let Erica do everything.
Thank you, Will.
I mean, I guess she elevated some of the things Erica said to the Red Truth in the 5th game, but that's about it.
In Claire's place, I want to thank you. Thanks for cutting off all of the lingering regrets of a me of a different fate.
I thought I'd see you a bit more head-clutching and... Wait, I thought I'd see a bit more head-clutching and panic from you.
I understand now. I realize how happy my life has been. If fate had toyed with me, and if I was living in another world, I might have gotten stuck in the same dead end of fate. However, thanks to an extremely improbable bit of good luck, I live in this world. I now know how much that means, how much it's worth. What's up? Why the surprised look?
I thought decent witches didn't exist, but I might have to change that theory.
Don't worry, no need to change it. I only joined that kid's game to kill some time. And though I lost, I enjoyed playing. That kid died without folding up her game board. I just took charge of cleaning up, as thanks to her for letting me play, and because it's the loser's duty.
I'm sure you'd be a lot crueler than this.
Crueler?
I thought this would be a cruel game that neglects the heart. Don't fucking inspire her. Do not tempt her to just start shit like that.
Yes, it was a cruel game. Though she claimed that the game was fantasy. I brought you along and made it end as a mystery. The illusion of the witch has been spectacularly crushed, and my little bit of revenge is complete.
But you didn't do anything.
This tale of intertwined loves ends thanks to an absolute and certain willpower. Out of respect for that certain willpower, the Witch of Certainty made that kid a witch for just 2 days. Even within this limited span of 2 days, I've been able to enjoy an endless kaleidoscope. I won't be bestowing my favor, so no miracle will occur. However, even this ending is something that child wished for. I wonder which truth actually lay at the end of this endless tale.
Who knows? Not being able to say that for sure is what makes it a cat box. True.
When you open the box, you get a tale where no trace of the mansion remains. No one except Eva survives. Now that Eva has died without saying anything, all the truth is inside the cat box. Endless possibilities, all kept within a limited box. Now that I think about it, maybe the whole island where she lived and died was the Golden Land. If you can call a cat box a Golden Land, that is. By the way, Battler's written up the most fun tale imaginable of the inside of the cat box.
You mean that book in Beatrice's coffin?
That's right. It's the happiest possible tale for her, which he thought up himself.
Really?
It was a really fun, love-filled, happy tale. I also think that tale was the most fitting one to put in her coffin.
No, that's wrong.
Huh?
You heard Claire. You are her hope and her salvation. More than anything else, you living on in happiness will be her salvation.
Right. Live happily. It's all you need to do to be that kid's miracle. Yes. I'll live happily enough for the both of us.
I'm surprised you found this kid. Didn't you have to search through about 200,000 of them in that vast sea? I'm getting Chapter 3 vibes, honestly. Just like Burncastle's not being Burncastle enough, you know? She's not being stupid psycho crazy. And the fact that she spent all this time searching through, as Will says, 200,000 fragments. I don't believe this is the ending. Something's about to happen.
Such trivialities are all I am capable of.
Humph.
And now, the funeral is over. As promised, I've released the barrier. Once you leave, time will start moving again like normal.
So, you're done with us now. If I don't get back quickly, Deanna will start scratching the curtains.
We weren't together long, but thank you for your help.
So long. Be happy. For the sake of the hundreds of thousands of other yous. I like Will. Will's cool. I don't like Bernkastel. I don't trust her. When he left the chapel, a beautiful after-rain sky stretched out above him. That sky, which was a mix of rain clouds, gaps of sunlight, and the tint of twilight, had a beauty to it that couldn't be described in words. Will slowly descended the stone stairs, stepping through puddles. Then he waved without looking back and left the chapel behind.
Goodbye, Dante!
Shut up, Edward. His form and footprints gradually faded away until there was no trace left.
Okay, time for me to disappear too. Goodbye, Leon. I have you to thank as well. I believe I said some fairly inconsiderate things to you. You have my apologies. You taught me something very important. What is it? No, it's nothing. It's been a century since anyone's thanked me, so I wasn't sure how to respond.
Bernkastel shrugged, then floated up into the air. Then she looked up at the beautiful 7 colors of light shining in through the stained glass, and spoke as though someone was looking down on her from there.
Oh, Aurora. Was that enough of an answer check for you? If you still don't get it, why not gather the other observer witches and have a tea party or something? Then you can listen to their theories. I'm mean, so I won't go any further than this. There are no witches who don't think. After all, witches who don't think either die or turn to seaweed. Yes, now you can look back and have a drink, while seeing how much of your theory was right.
Maybe she's not about to do something stupid then, and this was all just for feathering.
I'm tired of playing the part of the bad guy, and of being a Miko. You're done with me now. Bye, Leon. And bye to you too, Observer Witches.
Bernkastel burst and disappeared. A single golden flower petal glittered. Leon picked it up. It was the only trace of a miracle that remained in this chapel. At that time, cheery voices could suddenly be heard. It was the relatives. They came out of the waiting room one by one.
So this is where you were, Leon? I was looking for you. Mom. My apologies.
I was just thinking about something. No, you're supposed to say sister-in-law, as you know now. Looks like the rain's finally stopped. Finally, some good weather. Everyone, let us return to the mansion. I have been told that Beatrice's funeral is over.
Dad, where's the head?
He'll be here in a sec. Today was pretty crazy, and playing along with Dad's little funeral show was a real pain.
You shouldn't say that. It was a very important ceremony. That's right. I think it was very important for Father.
I'm starving. Goda, think you could cook something up for us? Yes, ma'am. I'll prepare some tea at once. Sometimes Goda's just fucking Obama, you know? Like, sometimes I just accidentally give him the wrong voice. Where is Leon? Lend me a hand.
Her family head. There you are.
As Kinzo came out after the others, Leon ran up to him. Isn't it 1986? He's kinda not supposed to be alive, but And why is Battler not here either? You did very well today. Beatrice's funeral is now complete. Is this not even the family conference? I don't even know.
Yes. And I'm sure that Beatrice's soul was saved.
Okay, I'm assuming Kinzo's still alive right now because Leon is Leon and not Yasu. Because if Leon is Yasu, then he ends up solving the epitaph. And Kinzo's just like, Mwahaha, Beatrice! You know? But now he's perfectly fine and healthy, I guess. Or just old, rather. How could you know that?
I was with Beatrice until a second ago, and I saw her leave on her journey with no regrets. That's how I know. I guarantee it.
I see. If you say it, then it must be so. The relatives left the chapel one by one. Leon left too, giving Kinzo a shoulder to lean on. Where are the cousins? Where's George, Jessica, and Maria? A beam of sunlight peeked through the clouds, looking like a staircase leading up to heaven. This feels too happy to be the end of an Umineko chapter. It just is, okay. That was the most wholesome... Okay. Achievement unlocked, rest in peace. That was the most wholesome Umineko chapter yet. I liked this one, though. Oh, you're just starting from here? Yeah? And... okay. You basically just reset the game, but okay. Okay, that was interesting. You didn't even show a credit sequence. The screen's just black. Well, that was interesting. That was a short-ass episode, though. Huh. I did like that, though. That was really interesting. I wouldn't say that was my favorite chapter so far, and I can't say that yet either, since we haven't gotten to the tea parties. But I've heard that they're actually really, really good, which makes me a little bit scared. Thinking, what the fuck could happen? But, you know, they gotta set up for Chapter 8 somehow, because that right there feels like it could be, like, an ending to Umineko in general, kind of. But it's never that easy. It's not bloody enough, you know? But I have a question first. Since I've heard that the tea parties are super duper good, I also remember hearing that about Chapter 4 when I was going through Chapter 4, and Chapter 5 when I was going through Chapter 5. And something that both of those happen to have in common is that their tea parties were ultra long. Just so I have some idea, how long are the tea parties this time? Because, well, if, say, like, the first one is 2 hours, like the second one in the 5th game, or the first one in the 4th game, if this one's 2 hours and then this other one's, like, 10 minutes, I don't want to accidentally record a 10-minute tea party and be like, well, shit, that's a 10-minute long video. And I'm at the very end of Chapter 7 now, so if someone can just give me some indication of, like, how long both of these tea parties are, obviously without spoiling what's in those, which don't see how you could just by saying a amount of time, but regardless, please tell me how long they are so I don't, like, go through the first one, it ends up being, like, an hour and a half, and then I'm just like, okay, I'll just do the second one next time, so I have some indication. But either way, or I could just do both at the same time, but, you know. Either way, that's going to be it for this episode, guys. If you liked it, be sure to press the like button, and if you didn't like it, then fuck you too. Remember to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date on all my videos and stuff. And as always, my name is Godzi, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye!